Hail, hail, the Celts are here, and what the hell do we care now, guys? It's Wednesday, between 5 and 6 probably, and it's that time of the week where we're getting our scouting binoculars out, we're getting our little notepads and pens, and we're flying across European and world football, looking for the next stars that Celtic could be looking to bring in to reinforce Brendan Rodgers' squad this summer ahead of a massive 25-26 campaign where we've got Champions League ambitions, as well as going after reclaiming, bringing home the treble again, which obviously we fell a little bit short on this year. A lot of extra pressure and focus on the transfer business, and this week's episode is no different to the ones that have gone before it. We're letting the rumour mill lead us down the path of where we should be scouting next, and the big kind of rumour mill revelation we've had over the last couple of days is Ege Tiknaz on loan, but it's about to be made permanent at Rio Ave in Portugal from Besiktas over in Turkey. So I was kind of on the fence. Do we do Turkey or Portugal? But I think, it's Portugal for this one. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. We recently just broke through 12,000 subscribers, fist bumps to you all, and we are hurtling towards 18,888. We cannot do that without your support. We've got content scheduled all week long here on the channel, so please do hit the subscribe button, turn notifications on so you don't miss an upload or a live stream as well. Love to see you guys in the live chat as well as in the comment section. Let me know, guys, thoughts and feelings and first impressions perhaps on the players we feature in the video today. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into this one, because Ege Tiknaz, if that's how we say his name, is a player that I am actually pretty excited about. This is a guy that was not on my radar whatsoever, and having scratched beneath the surface, this is a transfer that I was ready to poo-poo into rubbish, because over the weekend, after we've been linked to this guy, before I had kind of looked into him, Kasper Jander, one of the guys we profiled on the Bundesliga 2 episode, it looks to be making a move to the Bundesliga, and we're going to be missing out on him. And Anderlecht are pushing forward to sign one of my top favourite players that we've scouted in this series, who I think would fit Celtic like a glove. Jack McGlynn, Anderlecht. Two players that I think have got huge pedigree, huge experience, and really could hit the ground running at Celtic Park. But when I came to look at Ege Tiknaz here, during his loan spell at Rio Ave, he has been a breath of fresh air. He's actually been a very productive central defensive midfielder. And you can also see goals and assists here. He's performed very, very well in the league. He's played a great game here against Benfica, where he's got a clearance off the line, made a bunch of tackles and blocks, ultimately ended up with a triple-triple, which means he's ticked all the boxes defensively. 5 interceptions, 4 tackles, and the duel count there, he's won 9, lost 6, so that's a net 3. Those 3 statistics there together give us this indicator, which is always, for a defensive midfielder, it is the golden goose. That's what you're after. If they can get great passing statistics like this here into the final third, as well as creating big chances, winning some dribbles as well. In this game, a much more defensive performance. He did actually lose 5-0, but he still performed at 93 out of 100 because of how proficient he was defensively. Obviously, that clearance off the line made a huge impact, but he has also went through other matches where it's been a bit tighter or it's been a bit level opposition, and he can get assists, he can make a bit of an impact in the final third. He scored some goals as well. And at 20 years of age, to get 28 matches in the league this year, 4 goals, 2 assists, I think that's pretty good going, by the way. On loan from Rio Ave, and by all accounts, they've got a buy option on him, so I think they're going to activate the buy option and then sell him to us, as we've seen a number of European clubs do in recent years. A very proficient Besiktas under-19s player as well. We'll have a look at the tail of the tape here for Tiknaz, but he really does rank off the charts for all of the ball recoveries, ball retention, ball progression, dribbles, passes, and as we've just seen there with all the defensive statistics, very, very well. And at a team that were in like bang average mid-table, I forget exactly where they finished in the league, 11th, that's pretty good going. And the good thing about looking at defensive midfielders for clubs that are actually playing at this level is that they're very busy at being defensive-based players. And if they are able to stand up in those bigger matches, we had a game there against Benfica. Can we see any of the other giants? Yeah, against Sporting Lisbon and Porto, he's not really jumped off the page as much, but in a 2-each draw at home to FC Porto, he's got the double-double. So he's done a smaller version of what he did against Benfica, essentially, with only 2 interceptions and 2 tackles won, and the duels being even at 6 each, no net gain there. Pass count is very low, and they probably didn't get into the final third too much from him anyway. So nice performance there, I suppose, a 50 without the decisive, like a goal line clearance or a goal or whatever. And right towards the end of the season, by the way, it is worth noting, he scored twice here in a 3-each draw away to Funchal. and I'm not too sure what the meaning behind that game was, if he just had a blinder, but it's good to see. He is a Turkish champion, he's won the Turkish Cup as well, and at 20 years of age, he's broke in to the senior national team. He's not actually been capped yet, but a very proficient youth international, as we'll come to see as well. It says here he can play all across the spine, so he could even play attacking midfield, and I think that's maybe what gives him that extra little bit of quality that we've seen from defensive midfield, his ability to get goals and assists. As if they're not against Porto or Benfica and they're protecting their box, he can get into different areas of the pitch, and Portuguese football is allowing a guy like this to, from deep, be effective further up the pitch in certain matches, which is an attribute and a kind of play style that we're certainly interested in. Option to buy looks to be exercised, and yeah, they'll probably flip him right on. A transfer value here of about €5 million. Reports kind of vary as well. I actually really like this. Like I say, a proficient enough Turkish youth international. He is only 20. He's already played 4 for under 18, move up to under 19 and up to under 21 as well quite quickly. At the age of 20, he's got a full season in the Portuguese league, and the thick end of the minutes kind of vary, obviously, as you can see here. 600 minutes in the Turkish league, mainly from the bench, but all the same, 21 appearances, 5 games in UEFA Youth Champions League. He's played Conference League for 3 matches as well. He's got some good experience around him here. He's won some stuff. He's been a part of a big club already, and he's kind of taken that Matt O'Reilly approach. Now, from Turkey, going into their second division isn't really the same as leaving Fulham to go to MK Dons or whatever, but he's like taking a step down to be guaranteed minutes to be able to shine. Something we see quite often in Belgian football. If you didn't catch the Belgian video, I recommend you check that out. But sincerely, quite taken by this, and I would be quite happy to see Celtic go and pursue a move for Ege Tiknaz. The only question mark is, does he push the best 11 quality? I'm not too sure. Does he fit into the squad mould and have huge potential, a nice ceiling to grow into and hopefully evolve to being a best 11 player? Absolutely. Is he definitely Champions League quality? Who knows? And that's maybe, when I'm doing these videos, it's the number one thing I wrestle with is this guy the sort of level we're looking for better or for worse? And it is a kind of unquantifiable, because we do look at guys like this who have barely kicked a ball in the grand scheme of things, and are happy to let guys like Jack McGlynn and Casper Jander go, who have got season main guy, strong team, that all the rest of it. So it's a funny one. Looking at that same kind of profile, Ege Tiknaz at 1m93 is slightly taller, but this guy, I think he's more my height. Jibril Soumer at 1m85, he's 22 years of age, plays in the exact same position for Nacional Funchal here, and again is very highly rated in the Portuguese league on the same sort of metrics that we've seen for Tiknaz. He's played far fewer minutes, so sometimes statistics can kind of skew when you've got a smaller sample size. But when you look at these candlestick games here, against Famalicão, a 0-0 draw, 6 tackles, 3 blocks, possession won 5 times, not possession won, the duel won, 15 duels won, only 1 lost, 3 interceptions, an absolute defensive powerhouse. This team play like a 3-4-3 from looking into them, so he does have the opportunity to be a wee bit further up the pitch and maybe have a more of an impact with a goal or an assist or whatever. But this guy is a defensive machine, make no mistake about it. 19 duels won, only 1 lost away from home. Now it's against a bottom end team, so it's maybe a bit skewed. Do we have any games against the bigger teams? We do have Benfica and Porto, but he's not actually played very well against them. The last time he played Porto, 2 tackles, the duels net 0, 4-4, no interceptions, and again, they've probably not had the ball too much. But this is a guy that has a similar kind of pedigree, maybe costs a little bit less than our boy Tiknaz. Again, I often question with some of these guys, is he actually good enough? He might even be on loan from Braga, which he is. It does say he's a Portuguese Cup winner. I don't think that's actually a medal that he's picked up himself. This has him at 1m89, so maybe he is just as tall as Tiknaz earlier. Transfer fee is much smaller. Contract is on loan from Braga, so this is a Braga player we would need to look at. Left-footed defensive midfielder, and again, super proficient at all those dual 1 statistics that we're always interested in for those defensive midfielders. So, if we are looking at that bargain basement bucket, if Tiknaz wasn't to work out, maybe this guy in the Portuguese league could be looked at as well. Now again, over the weekend, a top attacking target that I thought we could have been very much interested in and could have got and would have made our squad a lot better was Nicolo Tresoldi, a German, half Italian wonder kid who's away at Euro Under 21, so watch out for him. But he's just signed for Bruges, of all people, for between 7 and 8 million euros. And for so many people, especially with the Champions League draw we had last season, you can see the very clear parallel between a club like us and Bruges. And Bruges are being decisive early in the window and going getting a recognised top-level wonder kid talent into their Champions League squad sooner rather than later. Looking at the Portuguese league, it's not quite in that wonder kid category certainly, but someone who is definitely available, not for cheap it must be said. but certainly has that X factor that could make the difference at Champions League level, and that is Rodrigo Salazar of Sporting Braga. Now it looked like he was actually in Russia in January. It looked like he had moved to Zenit St. Petersburg for a huge transfer fee and a huge payday for himself, but not too many players have moved back to Russia. It is starting to happen now. They don't play any European football, and I think Braga were a bit nervous that they were going to get stiffed on the bill and they were never going to actually receive the transfer fee, so they never actually signed the contract. It fell through. He's been back at Braga. And Salazar, if I told you there's a player out there called Rodrigo Salazar, see the little movie that plays in your head of what a guy like that would be like? At attacking midfielder, that is what he's like. He's just as exciting. He takes free kicks, he scores worldies, he punches and bunches. He's a key player for Braga. And although they're not winning the league, it's a very different dynamic, of course, in Portugal. This guy, former St. Pauli player as well, I hasten to add, has been very effective out there in Europe. I think he is he does have quite expensive taste, but this is a guy who knows how to find the back of the net, can play in the wide areas, can play off the front line in that attacking midfield position as well. And I think for Celtic, this would be a real good X-Factor type player, the Maverick, the Lubo Moravcik type player in the team that could just make something out of nothing, give Rio Ave someone to share that burden with, and has that versatility of, depending on who's available or the weaknesses in the opposition, could slot into a number of different positions. With him obviously wanting to get into the Uruguay squads for World Cups and all that kind of stuff, playing in the Champions League is something that he would be interested in. And if he did have to fit our wage structure, I would be surprised if a deal couldn't be done, to be quite honest with you. But Braga had accepted, now it is Russia, so it's totally different, right? But they'd accepted 30 million euros, 25 million perhaps, from Zenit. We would probably need to pay the thick end of 20, maybe 18, 17, but Braga will know they'll get paid from Celtic, so we could actually make the deal done. And not really similar to Tiknaz or anything like that, but certainly if we're scouting Portugal and we've not sounded out Salazar, again, a huge opportunity missed. He's a Bundesliga 2 champion from his time at St. Pauli. He's also won the Portuguese Cup through his time at Braga. His contract is on till 2028, and that transfer value, you'd have thought I looked at the page ahead before coming onto it, right around where I reckon we could get a deal done. Can play wide, can play attacking midfield, can play centre mid. And when I say centre mid for a guy like this, it's really in that Hatate spot. Does he quite have the same defensive nous? I would say not, but the attacking output that you gain from a guy like this is significant. Formerly of Schalke, he's been at Frankfurt. This is a guy that's been around the block. He's definitely well scouted, well thought of between players at, clubs that know a thing or two about a thing or two. Some of these clubs have kind of fell from grace or ascended, and he's just not managed to make it work out. He's looking for that sweet spot of a team where he's the main man, he's competing for stuff, but is also lifting the level of where he's at, because at Braga, he's kind of in no man's land. He's not going to win the league in Portugal, and maybe Zenit was the biggest transfer possible, which if it's not Zenit, Celtic is certainly in that category. It's all about money. Would we do a deal like this? I'm not so sure. One senior cap for Uruguay, 2 goals is impressive to see. And at 25 years of age, I would really hope we've sounded this guy out. Now, one of the other kind of key positions that we've still got to fill in the squad is backup left back or whatever we're doing with that. And Leandro Lelo is a 25-year-old Portuguese player for Casapia. He plays in a 3-4-3, 3-5-2 kind of shape, so he plays left mid, left wing back, and he tracks very, very well for defensive and attacking statistics, being very effective at both sides of the game. This is a guy that at 25, you kind of know who you're getting, and I remember doing a lot of scouting in this league last summer, because Wolves had signed a few players that were quite interesting, and I went and looked and dug into them a bit more. And this Leandro Lelo really reminds me of the Rodrigo Gomez player that Wolves picked up. Now, he's a bit younger. I think he might even be Brazilian, so it's just a wee bit more exciting and stuff like that, isn't it? But this guy has the same sort of output at a lower level team in the league, and being surrounded by better players, been in a more dominant team, has already shown that defensively he's got the ability to kind of mix it up with the good and the great. Look at this against Sporting Lisbon, 86 out of 100, 4 tackles won, a triple in total, so this will be good. 8 duels won, only 1 lost, 3 interceptions, pass count through the roof as well, lots of long balls into the final third, into the opposition's half, balls into the box as well, maybe taking some corners perhaps, free kicks, but that alongside a decent performance here against Porto at left mid. And again, the thing with left mid and left wing back is there will be lots of possession lost, because you're just shelling balls into the box, you're making crosses from out wide. But interceptions, tackles, he does it all out in this wide area. And for Celtic at left back, you're definitely challenged in the attacking sense as much as in the defensive side. Could he make the step up? I'm not too sure. A former Portugal under-21 international valued at €4 million. His contract at Casapia is up in the summer, so this could be one that could be very economical, and we know Celtic's favourite price is free. Can play all along the left, from left back to left mid. It says it here he can play left wing as well. I've not seen any of that from the scouting I've done, but I'll take Transfermarkt's word for it. And upcoming transfer, so he's about to sign for them. His contract is up. That's a bit confusing how they've displayed that. They're normally a bit better at doing that, aren't they? But Braga have already tapped him up. Now that surprises me, because when I was looking at Braga, I kind of felt that they had some players that were playing in that position already that were like good, but not like good enough for us, if that makes sense. Yeah, like this Francisco Chisamba. So don't know what the script of that is. I did look into that. I did vet this guy. I did look all across it. There was no reports of anything, and I just missed that at the bottom, guys. So I'm terribly sorry. I think I'll leave this in as a profile, because this might just be one of those ones where they sign a guy to sell him on. Or maybe that might even make the Chisamba guy available, and he doesn't profile too shabby either, by the way. But yeah, I don't think that Lelo's going in there to play. Which again, if that's maybe the case, then do you think if he's not good enough to play for Braga, is he good enough to play for Celtic? I guess not. But to be honest with you guys, the Portuguese league for me, and again, it's with that main wrestle, if is this guy actually good enough, will they actually improve our league? And when you go away from Porto, Benfica, Sporting, because any player that you would get from them, it's just Paulo Bernardo again. Like, if they're not good enough to play for Benfica, then really what are we doing? Prioritise them as a main transfer? Yes, they could add to the squad, they could be good, maybe they could get better playing for us than one of them, of course, but again, the Portuguese league is one that I really wrestle with the level of it and how serious to take prospects that we see from there. But again, in defensive midfield, we have actually got a Scottish player jumping to the top of a lot of the different metrics that we look at in defensive midfield in the Portuguese league for Estoril, and his name is Jordan Holsgrove. He does have some under-21 international caps, so if you follow the youth Scottish teams, you've maybe heard of this kid before. It was a new name to me, and again, at a very lowly ranked team in the division, he's ranked as the 16th best midfielder in the Portuguese league, which is pretty incredible if you ask me. His statistics all balance out very, very well for all of that stuff that we've been looking at from Tiknaz onwards. Good at winning the ball back, good ball retention, good progressive passing. As you can see, can chip in with a goal or an assist as well, is not beyond him at all, but is very prolific in tackles, interceptions, dribbles, move the ball up the pitch, that sort of stuff. Now, he is 25. I've looked at his background because I did find him like, who is this guy? But he came through at Reading, then played a little bit for Celtic Vigo, and again, I just don't remember this guy at all. But since then, he's been on to get like 67 games in the Portuguese top flight. And if you think about Tiknaz, like we're probably pitching this guy like, oh, you'll play behind McGregor, you'll play like 10 league matches this season, a couple of cup games, maybe we'll play in the Champions League if it's a tight match. You know, maybe he's not up for that, maybe he is. I hope he is, because he looks like a good player. But maybe a bit closer to the McCowan profile of like the backup guy, but maybe helps with the homegrown quota a little bit somehow, because he is Scottish, I guess, but maybe the Reading thing wouldn't have him qualified, I don't know. But I thought he was quite interesting. He's from Edinburgh. He's rated at €3.5 million. His contract expires in 2028, so they liked him enough to give him a pretty chunky contract, it must be said. And like you can see, he's played in the Scottish youth ranks often enough, formerly of Reading, as you've seen before, did make the trip to Celtic Vigo, but also was actually owned by Olympiacos, which is weird, but he never actually played for them. They just shipped him out on loan the whole time before he made his free transfer last summer to Estoril, and he's done pretty well. This is a guy that you would imagine could tick the boxes for us domestically. Having that little bit of this gives me kind of, and bear with me for this example, this gives me kind of like Eric Dyer vibes in a way, because Eric Dyer, if you remember, like came through at Sporting Lisbon, and then when he went to Tottenham, he was still like an English centre back and all the rest of it, but because of that kind of experience, that life experience, that education he had in football playing on the continent, they just got a bit of a different skill set from a player like him. And you can see he's signed for Monaco. You can see the career the guy's had has not been too bad. I'm not saying this guy is Eric Dyer or anything like that, but bringing a guy into the SPFL who is Scottish, who will adapt, who doesn't need to worry about being homesick or adapting to the culture, but has a little bit of culture behind him, has had a little bit of life world experience playing in different leagues, different managers, all the rest of it. It could be one with a lot of upside, is all I'm really saying. But yeah, I'm quite excited for the Tiknaz one. I would quite happy to see Celtic pursue this, pay the €5 million that he's valued at, or, you know, if you do need to stretch to 6 or 7, I don't mind that for a player as young as this. It's showing all the sort of promise and, you know, potential that they do actually have. But the only thing I worry is that he doesn't actually become a starter, or he's not a guy that could improve the best 11. I would sincerely hope there could be a way where we could get him and McGregor a bit, you know, him into the team and play McGregor a bit further forward in front. But again, that's a conversation for another day. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. On screen and now some other stuff that we've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you did enjoy the video, of course. Hail, hail, and moan the hoops.